ARFID.
First of all, impressive and quite courageous that you want to share this with us. Can you explain where ARFID stands for?
ARFID stands for Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. Someone with ARFID eats either too little or very selective. This can be caused by several things, such as reduced interest, hypersensitivity, or irrational thoughts or beliefs about food.
Okay, that's clear. But how does ARFID appear?
There are several forms of ARFID. The first one is called lack of interest. These people have little or no hunger and forget to eat or simply have no appetite. They often eat too little and very slowly. Second, there are people who do not like the sensory characteristics of food and have difficulty tasting new foods. This includes the taste and or color of food. And finally, there's a subtype where people do not eat something because they fear the possible effects of eating it. The fear of choking, vomiting or becoming sick dominates their feelings.
And what kind of ARFID do you have to cope with? And when did you discover this?
I was afraid of new flavors and pieces in my food from the age of 2. Before that I ate my fruits and vegetables in liquid form and had no trouble with the different flavors. Once I had to eat structured food, I started eating worse and worse until I hardly ate anything. My parents tried everything, but I became more and more afraid of food. Because I became thinner and thinner, there was nothing to do but make me eat what I would still dare to eat. So for years and years I ate white bread with chocolate sprinkles 3 times a day.
But is it really such a big deal when you eat this food with no variation at all?
Absolutely, and for 2 reasons. First, I was deprived of important nutrients which caused me to have many physical problems during puberty. Second of all, I was embarrassed in front of my peers and made up excuses not to go to parties. It became increasingly difficult to hide my eating disorder.
And Benjamin, can you give us an example of the physical issues that you were facing?
There is one moment I can quite vividly remember. I was playing tag with my friends and suddenly I couldn't run anymore. My energy was completely drained and I started vomiting, even though I did not eat anything the entire day. That was the moment I knew something had to be done. I was simply missing too many important vitamins and my only fuel was bread.
Okay, can you also describe a situation where you were ashamed of yourself because of your eating behavior?
Actually, every public eating moment was an embarrassing one, but especially the children's parties were terrible. A moment that is fun for any normal child was a nightmare for me. In fact, it was so bad that I made up excuses just to avoid attending these parties. Sometimes I would say that I had already eaten at home or that I simply wasn't hungry enough.
But did you know that you suffered from ARFID at the very start of these issues?
No, I didn't. First of all, because I was only 2 years old. But also, ARFID is still very unknown, even to medical professionals. My parents thought for a long time that they had done something wrong in raising me. I was ashamed and my parents were ashamed, so we didn't discuss these problems with anyone else. Only when I saw a Dutch television show called Bizarre Eaters did I realize that I might have an eating disorder, but also that I could be helped. I was 11 or 12 at the time and my parents immediately went to the family doctor to discuss the possibility of helping me.
And your family doctor, did he or she recognize what was happening to you?
My mother had come across the eating disorder ARFID on the internet and had asked if I perhaps had it. The family doctor had never heard of ARFID. Nevertheless, I was referred to the hospital, luckily. Many people are not so lucky and are told that they don't have underweight, so that they could never have ARFID. This is a common misconception because there are also people with ARFID who only dare to eat French fries, pancakes or pizza. Yet they have ARFID even though they are overweight instead of underweight.
So at the hospital, were they taking you seriously?
Yes, thankfully. Although the child doctor at the time had no experience with ARFID either, she immediately took us serious and had an extensive blood test done. It showed that I was severely chronically malnourished. I had to get all kinds of vitamin injections, pills and nutritional drinks right away. The latter is not easy if you have ARFID. It was very difficult to drink those drinks. Yet after 6 weeks I felt myself getting stronger and stronger. and decided that I never wanted to feel that bad again. This was the motivation for me to try very hard in an eating clinic.
So you had to go to the eating clinic you mentioned. Just pills and energy drinks were not sufficient.
No, it was very important to eat fruits and vegetables, so I would get more nutrients on a permanent basis. The medication and drinks were temporary. I learned to eat from the scratch at Centra, an eating clinic where, among other things, children with ARFID are treated. It was a very tough time, and it was certainly not easy. But after 4 weeks I was able to taste things and slowly build it up.
And nowadays, how do you feel right now? Do you still suffer from ARFID, or did your food intake, so to speak, change in the previous period?
I can happily say that I no longer have ARFID. You basically have ARFID if your selective and restrictive eating habits cause you to have physical or social problems. Since I can basically eat anything these days, there are no more social or physical problems and I no longer have ARFID. Of course, food remains a challenge for me, but it no longer defines my life.
By the way, Benjamin, have you ever met other people with ARFID in your surroundings?
Yes, my little brother of 6 also has ARFID. I've been told it can be genetic. He has autism and is extremely afraid of new tastes and still eats baby food. With him it seems almost worse than I had. I recognize an enormous amount of me in him and understand him very well.
Probably a difficult question, but did you feel lonely and misunderstood all those years when you suffered from this eating disorder?
Yeah, definitely. There were a lot of people who didn't understand what I was suffering from. Comments like, just put it in your mouth, and if I had to raise you I would have just poured it into you, were not uncommon to me.
Finally, Benjamin, is there anything that you would like to share from your experience with other young people who have to cope with ARFID?
Yes, just don't be ashamed of your situation. You're not weird and certainly not alone in this world. But above all, try and find help. It will be difficult for a while, but your life will really improve. I can now actively work out, run and do all the things you need to be in a good condition for.
Benjamin, thanks a lot for this interview.
Yes, thanks also.